Hey, what's up, everybody? So I just got back to the United States. Well, yesterday actually, and it was a long trip. Come on, boy. I rented a cabin out here in the country in Kentucky, so I'm gonna do some self-quarantining, get some work done, spend some time out here in the country. But yeah, I want to just I want to talk a little bit about my experience. Coming into come back in the United States, I thought it'd be way more strict than it was, and in fact, it was much more strict in Colombia, of all places. I got my temperature scanned and all that there, but when I got into the United States, there's none of that. And I walked through customs, like I just walked right through. They didn't even, they looked at my passport, but they just looked at it, stamped, and then went. And I've done quite a bit of international travel, and in the past, they'd at least ask a couple questions, especially if I was coming from a place like Colombia, right? More than a few times my luggage has got searched, right? Because of the, drugs and stuff that are there. And that didn't happen this time. In fact, they just pushed everybody through, and I was in a group of, there's probably like 500 people from different planes all over. I'm assuming none of them were from China, but they were international flights, and nobody was getting scanned, no precautions whatsoever. And I was like, man, dude, what is going on here? Because I was thinking that I would. So I'm gonna self-quarantine myself for a few days, and so I'd be lying to say if I haven't been watching a few different conspiracy things on YouTube about this, but the thing is there is something bigger going on. The way the media has blown it out of proportion for everybody, just put everybody in a panic, and now they're taking away our freedoms. We're not supposed to leave our houses. New York is on lockdown. Chicago just got put on lockdown. And the thing is that people's businesses are collapsing, right? And so I don't know what to believe anymore. People's businesses are collapsing. Is this really the trade-off for this paranoia? Is it worth losing our whole economic way of life over it? I don't think so. Like, when has the government cared that much about people? Not very much. Just look at all the drugs that gets passed. The FDA, what gets passed is food, all the chemicals in the air and the food and the water and the drugs that are, people get addicted to, opiates, the opiate crisis, which killed way more people, and I experienced myself at one point in time, and, but none of that, brought anything close to this. This has never happened before. And so why now? Why is this happening now? What's the end game? So, now that I'm more settled, I didn't get to do analysis videos because I was just trying to get back to the United States, because they're about to close the borders. If we can't leave our homes, and then our countries, our homes, our houses, our towns, our states, our countries, man, it's not going to be a life worth living, right? I mean, it's life, it's a blessing, but at the same time, we're meant to be free, and this is very alarmingly fast. I'm sure some of you all agree that the way this is starting to pan out, I know I'm about to be like, hold up, what the fuck is just happening? Because I just experienced this trying to get back into the country. Like, it was very scary. They had already put police in the streets where I was at in Colombia, and I was like, oh my God, this is scary. There's people on like a loud megaphone telling people to stay inside, and it was not cool at all. So that's what I want you to ask yourself. Don't worry, I'll be putting a lot more charting stuff out tomorrow and this weekend, and back to the markets are still going, and we're going to do our best to profit from them. That's what is awesome about being a trader. But other than that, man, the way it's going, the whole economic system destroying itself, or this man, I don't know what's going on, but I just want you to ask yourself, is this really right? Is this the way? Is it worth us losing our rights? And, you know, I'm not saying this isn't a big deal. I'm not saying that the coronavirus doesn't suck and that people will die from it, you know. I don't want anybody to die from it, right? But at the same time, everybody's going to go somehow. And that's why the best thing you can do is just try to be healthy. Do your best to eat real food, good food, exercise, eat fruits and vegetables, get sunlight. So then, you know, if I get the virus, I'm not too worried about it because I am willing to bet my immune system will be able to handle it. But if it doesn't, I'll cross the bridge when I get there. But us having to stay in our houses, glued to the internet, glued to the news, just like having this fear, you know, shoved down our throats from CNN and Fox News and everything, you know, this fear and paranoia was the thing that made the markets collapse. It's fueling now that, you know, we're supposed to stay in our homes and just let this pass, which I'm doing. I'm quarantining myself, but you know, I read an article today, or it's 2 days ago, that said they expect this thing to go 18 months. You know, they're throwing out little pieces to see how people react to it. Now, 18 months, if we have to do this, I say go ahead and give me the virus now. Let me get over it and deal with it later. But I don't know. But 18 months and people aren't working, people aren't keeping their jobs, people go out of business. You know, the world's going to turn into a scary, scary place for sure. So let's pray that doesn't happen. Let's just pray that this goes away. And I just ask you to question what's going on and don't just be like, okay, you know what? You're right. Anything that can do to stop the virus, I'm willing to do. Don't just hand over your happiness and freedoms and pursuit of happiness, right? Here in the United States, it's one of the things, the pursuit of happiness. How can you actually achieve that if you can't leave your house and there's military everywhere? You can't. You know, it's just like a fascist lockdown state. So we don't want that. For sure. I don't want that. I know you don't want that. So, you know, don't believe everything they're telling you. The virus itself sucks, but let's not go overboard. So, that being said, I care about you and I hope that you're doing good and that you get through it. We'll all get through this together and have a great weekend. Peace.